Hey everybody, PS360 back, and we've got one more thing to look at in Turok Dinosaur Hunter. We've never gone into this menu before. This is how Turok gets its cheat modes without you unlocking them manually. You type them in, at which point they unlock in the cheat menu. Pretty standard stuff for older games. Now, I'll put up the cheats at the bottom of the screen as I'm using them, as some of them are kinda long. So let's start with the good stuff. And just give us all of everything. And let's start off in level 2. Now it's pretty standard. We're starting off in level 2, we have all of our weapons, and it doesn't really matter in the slightest how long or how often we fire them. Actually, just in case I never showed this off. Fine, we'll go to level 1 and do it. Particle Accelerator. Is the only gun that can kill the monkeys. Not really sure why he blew up down there. Moving on. This stuff is pretty obvious. Having infinite weapons, or infinite ammo, gives us infinite ammo, infinite health, etc. Standard fare. Let's take a look at some of the other ones. For starters, show enemies turns the map on to, well, show enemies as well as us. It gets a little triangle where each enemy is. Until they die, at which point the triangle is gone. Big head mode does pretty much exactly what you would expect it to do. In that it gives enemies massively huge heads. Dinosaurs included. Also, it gives everybody a really deep voice. To take things in the other direction, I did not enter that cheat. One sec. Okay, there we go. Going to the other end of the spectrum, we have tiny enemy mode, which makes them smaller. Can't stomp on them like in Duke Nukem. It also makes them sound amazing. Yeah, we don't want to go in there. Pen and ink mode makes everything wireframe. Pen and ink mode, as said, is more or less wireframe mode. It just makes all of the geometry wireframe. It also doesn't work in the emulator, so what you're seeing here is recorded off of my actual N64. Also, I haven't quite gotten the HDMI pass-through to work correctly, so you're seeing me play with about 1.5 seconds of lag. Which explains why I'm playing like I'm drunk. You wouldn't think it would be as big of a deal, but you can observe me struggling to step on this floor plate. Yeah, 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds of lag is a lot of lag. There we go. In addition to all of the geometry being in wireframe mode, the particle effects get, I guess what would be their equivalent of wireframe mode. They, you can see from there, get kind of this like black and white cloud look to them. Happens with everything that's got a particle effect. So the explosions from the grenade launcher, the particle accelerators effects. Complete with the electricity on that guy. And the massive explosions from the fusion cannon. You can also see the geometry on the fusion cannon and where the alpha maps take over the textures to give those bits some transparency, which I think is kind of cool. Also, you can see right there exactly how short the range on the fusion cannon's explosion was, since it missed that raptor. Pretty colors. Does pretty much what you would think. It adds colored textures onto the walls. Onto actually everything. I'm going to guess this is an emulation bug where it's not showing up on all of the surfaces. Oh, I wish I still had tiny enemies on for that. Oh, moving on from pretty colors. Let's go for disco mode. You can already pretty much see what that does. Now let's go for a change of scenery too. Well, it's supposed to make things dance as well. I'm not really sure what it's doing to the raptor. It's causing seizures. Poor guys. Let's take a look at the humanoid enemies. Yeah, it looks a little more like dancing. Moving on from there, we have Quack mode. And Quack mode is interesting. Because Quack mode drops the animation quality and most of the particle effects, most of the game's effects, to oddly low levels. Like, everything still functions the same, particle effects and all of these previously interesting animations get really kind of janky. Actually, I guess the animations weren't really that nice, interesting. Functional animations. That's some interesting fire up there. Yeah, let's make the Perlin dance while we're here. Yeah, it's not too bad at dancing either. I guess anything's better than the raptor. We can also take to the skies. Left, right, and forward just kind of make you move left, right, and forward and back. It also turns on no clip. Jump moves you up. Didn't know we could go into that. Yep, first one was interesting. Huh. I guess no clip gets kinda turned on in some walls. I'm not really sure how I was doing that. Whatever. Moving on. To the best of my knowledge, we don't really have a way back down once we're up here. And due to how much fog is in Turok, if you go out of bounds, it's really easy to get lost and not be able to find your way back to any amount of level geometry. Or maybe you can accidentally stumble on some. And then you have the warps, which are just, I've been using them. It just takes you to certain levels, takes you to individual bosses. What if we can make the bosses dance? Maybe I should turn off fly mode. Okay. So does that, well, that's something you can do. Maybe the T-Rex will dance for us. He will not. But what we can do to him is make him look crappy at least. I don't know why I'm really trying to run away from him so much, considering I can't be hurt right now. Let's put the fun ones back on. Wonder if we can... You can put them both on at the same time. I think. Oh, and Spirit Mode just puts you in permanent spiritual invincibility. Permanent spiritual invincibility is not particularly fun. But since we've got infinite ammo, let's blind ourselves and just kind of demolish him. Actually, we got this thing too. Which, oddly enough, doesn't do as much damage as a fusion cannon to him. Piece of the thing we already have. I'm not walking all that way. I'm pretty sure that Tiny Enemy Mode is my favorite cheat in this game. Wait, we never picked up tank arrows. Or shotgun explosive shells. Before we take him out, there's one last thing I want to show off. And for that, I'm going to head back to level 1. And I'll see you guys as soon as we get to... I'm going to get us up to 250 health. Maybe get us some armor. And we'll see exactly how much damage the Chrono Scepter does in comparison. So, see you guys in a couple minutes. Okay, so I decided it would probably be better to go with level 8 than level 1, since we've got pretty easy access to a lot of ultra healths. So we're sitting kind of pretty at 75 armor and 250 health right now. So let's turn off Invincibility. And let's see exactly how much damage this thing does if we shoot it at our feet. Been nice knowing you. Yeah, so that just chewed through maximum health
Turok.
plus 75 armor in one shot. What is biting me? Oh. Hi, little guy. And with that, We bid farewell to the Lost Land. Home of now tiny beetles. Huh. Well, that's something that I never noticed. That means the deeper voices of the demons are just slowed down versions of the campaigner soldiers and poachers. Because we've got small enemies on, so they should have the sped up, happier voice, but they just have regular death cries. So what do they sound like slowed down? Nah, not too much different, actually. Well, let's bid farewell to Turok. And we'll see him in the next generation.